Voice of Change News.
This is Voice of Change Radio News. I'm Amanda Kumalo. A quick look at stories making the headlines. Election victory in defense of country's sovereignty and freedom. In business news, Mutapa Investment Fund to boost empowerment of locals. In regional and international news, Zanu Pf pledges to support Palestine. In sports news, Netball family mourns Jani. The news in detail. President Mnangagwa yesterday said the August 23 harmonized elections won by the revolutionary Zanu Pf party were in defense of the country's independence, sovereignty and freedom by Zimbabweans against the regime change agenda fronted by foreign-funded opposition parties. The president, with the commander-in-chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, said this while presiding over the graduation ceremony and pass-out parade of the regular officer cadet course number 338 of 2022 at the Zimbabwe Military Academy in Gweru. In other news, beleaguered opposition C factional leader Mr. Nelson Chamisa should not misconstrue internal contradictions bedeviling his party as a constitutional crisis in the country, as that is a complete distortion of the reality on the ground, where focus is on accelerated implementation of development programs and projects, government has said. In a statement last night, the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Jani described Mr. Chamisa's claims of constitutional crisis as a fallacy devoid of any substance. Moving on to business news. The new Mutapa Investment Fund, an upgrade and new name of the country's sovereign wealth fund, will be a game changer in the country's quest to allow Zimbabweans benefit from their natural resources, including future generations, a roundtable meeting held on Wednesday. This was said by Mr. Walter Chimene, the Chief Executive Officer of the Vision 2030 Squad, an empowerment organization established to rally Zimbabweans in support of the government's initiative of achieving an upper middle income society by 2030. In news beyond our borders, Zanu Pf has pledged their endless support to the state of Palestine on their struggle of freedom against the Israeli apartheid occupation. In a statement, Zanu Pf Secretary General Comrade Mutapa said they condemn any act of aggression by Israel and reiterated their commitment to the principles of peace, justice, and human rights for all. He said the ruling party calls upon the parties involved to prioritize diplomacy and engage in peaceful negotiations to de-escalate tensions in the region. And finally, in sports news, on a rather sad note, the Netball family was yesterday thrown into mourning following the death of former national team goal shooter Jani. Jani passed on in the early hours of yesterday at Parirenyatwa Hospital after an undisclosed illness. She was 34. That brings us to the end of this bulletin.
Voice of Change News.